Good day, Bravehearts. Welcome back to the Doc of Detox show. Today's show is the Electrosensitive Society with Sheena Symington. Now, before I bring Sheena on, I just want everybody to know that our EMF blue light protection sale, is running up until Monday, April the 26th. Okay, so basically, let me see here. Am I right? Yeah. Monday, April the 26th, 1 minute to midnight. That's when it's going to end. Okay. So check it out if you want. Go to EMF / energy. Okay. On, go to store.docofdetox.com. Can you put that up for people? Appreciate it. Okay. So let me just go through a couple of things and a couple of guidelines and a couple of rules. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's so many rules out there, isn't it? I just love all the rules, okay? And remember something, these are all rules, not laws, okay? Now, the reality is on Tuesday, I will have Down on the Pharma with Del Bigtree. And everybody needs to get this. On Facebook and on YouTube, when that show is over, the minute it's over, it is going into BitChute and it's going into Telegram. So if you don't know what Telegram is, you might want to download it. You might want to check out BitChute. We're under Doc of Detox and BitChute, right? And then with Telegram, you need to download it. You can download Telegram on your phone or on your computer. And if you want to go to our Telegram, you would go to t.me at the Doc of Detox. It's the Doc of Detox. And that's how you go to our Telegram. And on Telegram, I'm going to give you the most really, truly scientific facts on what's going on in the world and the truth about what's going on in the world. You're not going to get it in the media, that's for sure. And then on Wednesday, Dell never does this, but Del Bigtree of Highwire, if you want to go see his show, it's called Highwire. Go to highwire.com. Or you can go to ICanDecide.org and get all the greatest information on V. You know what V is, right? I hope you get this, everyone. Okay, so you can go there for all the greatest information, ICanDecide.org. And Del Bigtree will be here Wednesday, and he is going to be here for a live Q&A. He never does live Q&As. So whatever questions you have, you'll be able to send in live, okay? So you can send them into the show on Tuesday, and we'll answer them. Or you can send them in on the live Wednesday show, and all my shows start at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's begin the show. Hi, Sheena. How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. I'm doing really good. Life is amazing. You know, some of the most amazing things are happening for me, my business, and the people around me. There's such if you really take a look at it, there's such amazing things. You know. And if I can just say this, everyone, we couldn't keep going on the way we were going. So just know that. So something had to happen. So this is a wake-up call. So I think everybody's going to have to decide whether or not they want to find their authentic selves. And I think it could happen. I think we could have the most amazing world. What do you think, Sheena?
I agree. There's so many things that you can do with the education and empowering yourself. A lot of people react when I do presentations on how to address the electromagnetic exposure they have. They say, oh, it's so fearful and that's so difficult. And it's not. It's just empowering. There's really easy steps you can do to minimize your exposure and, like you say, regain your health. So it's making it easy for people in a non-fearful way.
And I know you're going to do that today, but the reality is Sheena, nobody likes the boogeyman, okay? And if you can't see it, okay, how do you get it? How do you protect yourself from it? And you know what? It's overwhelming to people.
Absolutely. And I want to make it easier. And if I present anything today that is, you need to follow up with me, I'm happy to do that. I'll provide one-on-one coaching and counseling on how to actually eliminate and reduce your exposure, or find you someone in your area who can come into your home to help you, or get a few meters that you can purchase easily on your own. I'll demonstrate some today. So it's really easy steps on reducing your electromagnetic exposure.
Okay, before we go any further, do you mind? Drake, I want you to put this up for everyone. Sheena, I want to know that if I have a question or I want to get a consultation from you, What am I going to do? And then we will be repeating this, everyone, about every 15 minutes. And it's not because we're trying to sell something. We're trying to sell you on you that if you take massive personal action, your whole life will change. So how can they get in touch with you, Sheena?
Yeah, there's nothing to buy, just information on how to minimize your exposure. So it's the electrosensitivesociety.com. So www.electrosensitivesociety.com. Or you can email me directly at sheena@electrosensitivesociety.com.
All right, before we get into everything else, we have a special thing that that Sheena has offered. I've asked her to do it. And Sheena, I'd like you to, if you could, just take like 5-10 minutes and explain it to people, and then tell them what we're going to be doing on May the 5th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be live. You're going to be able to ask your questions. But Sheena's going to tell you what you need to purchase. And it's not a big, expensive purchase, but it's mind-blowing on an emotional level. Go ahead, Sheena.
Okay. There are a couple of things that working with Dr. Magda Havas, have realized that people who are electrosensitive really need to reset their limbic system. But really, in general, everyone needs to reset their limbic system. And I'll talk a little bit in my talk about what that means.
Okay. What is a limbic system? Do you mind? What is the limbic system?
Yeah, no problem. It's that flight or fight center. So there's a portion on your earlobe, and I have a couple of slides that will demonstrate this in my talk.
Oh, beautiful.
There's a portion on your earlobe that is connected to the different parts of your brain that store trauma. So a memory component and the limbic system. And there's this miraculously easy treatment for psychological trauma in which you shine an LED light, just a small yellow LED light, on that area of your earlobe that's most sensitive when you're recalling a traumatic image, and it literally deletes that image. So I can, in the training session, I'll demonstrate exactly how that has happened and achieved, and it literally takes a few minutes. And Dr. Daniel Assis from Argentina has developed this method, and it's really nothing short of miraculous. I'll demonstrate how he uses it with adults. He also has an amazing success in utilizing it with children. So really eliminating that image that they just can't get out of their heads. They can't stop reliving that trauma because that image keeps on coming up and coming up. And with this method of shining this little LED light on the ear, it literally eliminates or deletes that memory and that visual, so people don't have that continual source of trauma, of something that they've seen or something that they've heard. Yeah.
If I can add to that, everyone, I want you to get this, okay? This is really important. Did you ever hear of the person that had cancer once, had it twice, had it 3 times, and then he called himself a survivor? Nobody needs to be a survivor. Don't even use that word. Use thriver. And the reality is that until you get rid of the conflict, and that's what Sheena's talking about. You have to have conflict resolution, okay, here before you're going to get it anywhere else in your body. Because the emotional, the psychological, okay, it creates the biological. The invisible creates the physical. So conflict resolution is the deal. So coming into a peaceful, calm, parasympathetic state of rest and repair. And let me tell you something. I just want to say this, and then I'm going to pass it back to Sheena. This whole world, okay, the whole healthcare system is based on creating conflict within the patient to keep them sick. Doesn't matter what anybody else wants to think. This is my show. This is my opinion. You can take it or you can leave it. But even natural health practitioners will create trauma, drama, chaos, because people do not understand the power of the mind and of an image. And what Sheena's talking about is this image keeps replaying. If it was an image of beauty, if it was an image of love, unconditional love, it would heal everything. But if you were caught in fight, fright, flight, and you keep having that image all the time, remember something, your subconscious is 90% of your brain, and whatever images you run the most, They're the prominent dominant ones. And even if they're killing you, your subconscious does not know logic. It only knows that you've run that program long enough and strong enough, and she's going to show you how a little light can, a little light can turn it all on. You could have the biggest stadium in the world, and a little 2-year-old walks in with a candle, and you're at the other end, a mile away. That little light is going to show you out. And this is the technique that she's going to be sharing with you and that we're going to be doing on May 5th. Take it away, Sheena.
And you're absolutely right. We sometimes inadvertently, like you say, cause that trauma or inflict that trauma because of our potential own anxiety. My analogy is with parents. Parents do that to their children, inadvertently creating that conflict or creating that chaos. And sometimes that's where we have to treat and resolve as well. So you're right. There's a lot of inadvertent creation of that. This is the light. I'll show you a link at the end of the talk, but this is the light. It's a little keychain. You can get them for 89 cents on Amazon and different places. I get mine. They're $11.99 from the US. And I will talk about it through photonlight.com, and I'll give you the link to purchasing the lights.
And there's 3 different colors, right?
Yes. There's 3 different colors that we recommend that you get. Yellow is for the trauma treatment. Green is for balancing. And blue is used, there's this concha, the open part of the ear, like if you were to put your finger in your ear, that portion is the one access that you have to the vagus nerve on your whole body. And so there is a connection there that you can use with blue light to really resolve some of the physical symptoms that you have. Because a lot of times I've seen a woman that lost her father and had such pains in her chest because of her father's death. And that blue light resolved that physical issue of the pain in her chest. So the blue light's for the physical, green light is for balancing on the earlobe, and the yellow is treating the earlobe with yellow light for trauma.
So everybody, I need you to get this, and then I want to ask Sheena about what it's like to be electrosensitive and what some examples are. But everybody, you need to get this. Your subconscious is only as smart as your beliefs. It's only as dumb as your beliefs. And the prominent dominant ones are going to continually run. Go get a calendar and take a look. You're either pushing the love buttons or the fear buttons in your body and in your family. And understand, you can love someone with all your heart, but it's very difficult for people to take a look at the programs they're running. Did you ever have someone say to you, "Did you see how you talked to me?" "Yeah, so what? It's not any different than any other time." That's right. So we run programs on a subconscious, unconscious level. And if you don't like your life or the strife or the conflict, and you don't like the relationship with yourself and those around you, then you have to go inside. But we're going to be showing some light techniques because we are electromagnetic energy light beings. And we are affected by frequency and light. And can you, before we get into everything else, can you give us some examples of people that it's like anything else? If you ate a food too much, you might become allergic to it. Well, there are people that are allergic to life. Can we talk about those, Sheena?
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And sometimes it's quite extreme. And I've also heard that when they address those underlying traumas or those underlying belief systems, that sometimes they can heal from those. So you're right. Sometimes people are so incredibly sensitive to light itself. And with electromagnetic fields and frequencies, they're very sensitive. Some people that have electro hypersensitivity to compact fluorescent lights and fluorescent lighting. So lighting is a really big issue, sometimes because of the flicker and sometimes because of the electromagnetic pollution that they create.
Thank you. So take it away. Where do you want to go from here?
Okay, I have a few slides that I'll show, and you can stop me at any time for demonstrations or comments or anything, and I'll just share my slides and have a little intro about electro hypersensitivity.
Everybody, see? Facebook, I got you. Got you right here. So if you've got any questions, okay? Any questions at all, I'll be trying to monitor them here, okay? And if I miss them, maybe Drake will catch them, eh, Drake? And everybody just know that this is a Facebook rated show, so Sheena won't be getting pulled off. So she'll be on here, so make sure you share it with people, get the word out, especially for May the 5th. This is a brilliant, powerful thing we're going to be showing you on May the 5th, but make sure you start sharing the show right now. Start getting people on right now. Come on, let's go. Let's get everybody here. Let's start teaching people. You know, if we started taking massive personal action and unconditionally loved ourselves and said, yeah, okay, I've been given this body, I'm going to look after it. So if you've got questions, send them in on Facebook right now, everyone. Go ahead, Sheena.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Absolutely.
So how to advocate for persons who have electromagnetic hypersensitivity. In the United States, it's also called electromagnetic sensitivity, so EMS. And as the director of the Electrosensitive Society, I really try and help people who suffer from electromagnetic hypersensitivity. I help them find medical help. I offer a weekly support group for those who are EHS or any of their family members, and just try and help people understand exactly what electromagnetic hypersensitivity is and what we can do to help those who suffer from it. So it's an environmentally induced disability. So really, it's actually not the person that is disabled, it's the environment that is disabling the person. So we really have to start to address the environment in addition to boosting the well-being of the person. So the WHO recognizes it as individuals experiencing adverse health effects in the vicinity of electric, magnetic, and electromagnetic fields. So those are wireless devices, cell phones, Wi-Fi, cordless telephones, Fitbits, all of those things radiate microwave radiation. And it's a real and sometimes debilitating problem. And it's at levels much lower than our international standards allow. So these people are affected in close proximity to these devices really adversely.
I heard that, Sheena, that actually the Fitbit can actually throw your heartbeat off, and it can cause some big troubles.
Yes, and again, it depends on your sensitivity, but your blood is being pumped through that. The signals that are emitted from that Fitbit are quite extreme. It's really close to your body, and you're wearing it all the time. So I'll tell you, there's an acronym that I use to kind of look at the amount of exposure you have, and Fitbit would be right up there. So there are common precursors for EHS. So if you have physical trauma to the central nervous system with whiplash or concussion, chemical exposure through pesticides, metals, drugs, or even tattoos, electrical exposure through shocks or lightning strikes, or really severe exposure through power lines, antennas, Wi-Fi, or a mobile phone, biological trauma, so if you have mold or parasites or Lyme, and an impaired immune system, so those very young, very old, or you have some kind of immune compromisation that really kind of predisposes you to them becoming electrosensitive. So these are almost like triggers in the presence of electromagnetic fields can lead to hypersensitivity. So electromagnetic sensitivity, EMS or EHS, what are the symptoms? Some people have one or two symptoms. Some people have a lot of symptoms. It really depends on your ability for your immune system to function. So some of the common ones that Dr. Havas has looked at is the chronic pain through arthritis, heart palpitations. We see quite a few people when they clean up their electromagnetic environment, they don't have to get up in the night to go to the bathroom. So it really has some kind of impact on the kidney function and the bladder function. Migraines are a huge component and a very common response in skin problems, etc. And also difficulty regulating blood sugar levels. So Dr. Havas has come up with an acronym called R squared ID. And in our research, we've discovered that with the first R, this is the recovery of EHS. So how do you actually recover? A lot of people will ask, can I get better from this? And I'm an internal optimist, so I always say yes, and I think so. A few things depend on how long you've been electrosensitive, what the precursors that you have to develop this electrosensitivity. But the really key, most important thing is to reduce your external toxins, reduce that electrosmog, the EMF and the EMR, so electromagnetic fields and electromagnetic frequencies. I'm going to show you tips on how to do that in your home. That's critical, not only for those who are EHS, but those who want to reduce their exposure to prevent them from potentially becoming EHS. You also need to reset your limbic system. So reducing those internal toxins, like you were just talking about, that internal environment of your thoughts, of your emotions. You really need to reset that limbic system. And like you say, shift from that sympathetic response to a parasympathetic response of rest, digest, and recover. So those 2 R's are absolutely critical. And that's what I help most, the people that I help with. Those are the 2 things that I help them with.
And also, Sheena, is it okay if I bump in a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so everybody, this is where I really want you to take a look at my clapping, okay? Doc of Detox clapper. Can you have him bring up a clapper too? And a belly button therapy? Understand something, everybody, and people don't get this. Clapping can get rid of depression. Clapping can get rid of physical blocks. But clapping gets rid of emotional blocks that you've had all your life. And that's right, it's a clapper we created. And you clap yourself, and I'll tell you, you start clapping and you're going to tell me you're happier. It releases stem cells. And also, I have what's called belly button therapy. I'll show this at the end of the show when we're done. But belly button therapy releases 70% of your serotonin, 50% of your dopamine in 5 minutes, and it causes a 20 to 25% extra stretch in the body. Nothing causes you to go into a parasympathetic state faster. Anyways, take it away, Sheena.
Wonderful, because we need those tools to use. Some of the physicians that I work with, they talk about that shaking and tremoring and releasing trauma like that too. It's almost similar to the clapping.
The clapping and the belly button therapy, you know what? I've got people that are even suicidal. I've got people that are in such depression, in such pain, people that have been in nerve pain all their life. And between the clapping and between the belly button therapy, a few other things we do, but those are inexpensive. Like this is belly button therapy, everybody. There's your little belly button therapy buddy. And understand something, the umbilical cord you were attached to your mother with, but not just that, emotions. But behind the belly button, okay, you're going to find the biggest link to the vagus nerve. And as soon as you start doing the belly button therapy, I show it in my DIY do-it-yourself guide in my library. There's a technique that you do in certain movements. Guess what? You may not believe this. You've had cesareans, you got adhesions, you got pain in your abdominal or your pelvis. This is going to relieve it. Yeah, and it's all about empowering people and not taking away all their money. Okay, well, let's try just give them power. Let's give back the power to people. And the clapper they're going to bring up. And at the end of the show, I'm going to show you how I clap and how vigorously I clap. And understand something. This face of mine I'm 65 years old. I look younger now than I looked 10 years ago. And if you don't want to lose your hair, you clap. And if you clap just even in here, this is the lung and myocardium and heart meridian, and you can get rid of so much emotion that you've had since a child just by clapping here. But you'll find all that, and this is not my show. Take it away, Sheena.
Love it, love it. So boosting the immune system support and detoxing, which you would also know a lot about, Doc of Detox, through the chemical and the biology. DNA analysis is often useful in just seeing what you're genetically predisposed to, how well you actually detox. And the immune system support and detox, you really need a really good healthcare practitioner that's going to be aware on how to help you with that. So how do you reduce your exposure to electrosmog and electromagnetic fields? You first need to measure it, because you can't reduce something that you don't know what it is. So like you were saying, it's invisible. Most people can't feel it, you can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. So you really need to make it visible for people. And you need to measure radio frequency radiation. And this is a little safe and sound meter. And this is a more sophisticated meter for Safe and Sound as well. And that's the one that Magda's using for her Bragg study when she's measuring radio frequency radiation worldwide. She's using this meter from Safe and Sound Technologies to measure that radio frequency radiation. So you need to measure it in your home. And there, this one is, I think it's $400, and the one that's on the slide here is $200. It just tells you the presence and absence of radio frequency radiation in your home. The closer your device, the meter gets to the device that's radiating, the higher the levels, and the further away, the lower it will go. So it's quite easy, and I zoom through and show people how to identify sources within their house and then how to eliminate them.
Beautiful. Also, if I can say something, is it okay, Sheena?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, you need to get this. That, you remember your belly button buddy I just talked about? Well, this is your electro buddy, and you take it everywhere you go. And if you go to certain stores or certain restaurants, you want to check it out. Okay, you can't, if this thing is screaming in your face, okay, the more you take in that stuff, the more sicker you're going to be. So you want every place that you go to, you want to take it and find out what the level is, because now the invisible just became visible. Sheena?
And Magda and I were measuring a school, and we were presenting to a classroom about the radio frequency radiation, and we passed the meter from desk to desk. And on this little Safe and Sound meter, where you see that there's a color. So when it's green, there's very low to no radiation, microwave radiation. And as it gets up to the yellow and orange and red, it's high. And they passed it from desk to desk, and we said, just write down the color that you are. So they all did that. And we said, okay, everybody who has green, put their hand up. And a bunch of people around the outside of the classroom put their hand up. They said, okay, everybody who's red, put their hand up. And this node in the middle of the classroom put their hand up. And we said, okay, now look up. And there was a router, a Wi-Fi router directly above where those people were sitting. So again, like you're saying, identify those sources and be able to increase your distance from them or remove them if you can. So measuring dirty electricity is really important. A lot of people are just becoming more aware of dirty electricity, and that's produced by electronic equipment and some lighting, and it's quite easy to minimize your dirty electricity. Electric and magnetic fields are really important to measure, and again, increasing your distance from those sources or turning off the power to your bedroom at nighttime. There's really quite easy ways to minimize your exposure to electric and magnetic fields. And then the light noise, like you were talking about, the blocking the blue light and measuring the flicker. So you can measure your computer screens, and you can measure your television screens, and you can measure the flicker from different lights, artificial lighting, and really find the ones that have the least amount of flicker. So again, solutions, you want to focus on what you can control, because like you were saying, so much of anxiety comes from the uncertainty and the inability to feel like you can control your environment. So you want to focus within your home, particularly on your bedroom. You want to create a beautiful sanctuary where there's no electromagnetic fields and frequencies. You want to eliminate wireless devices. And I'm just going to show you what those wireless devices are, because a lot of people don't realize how many things within their own home would be emitting radio frequency radiation. So handheld devices trying to connect to Wi-Fi, wireless headphones, listening to music, wireless speakers. The Wi-Fi router constantly radiates all the time, waiting for it to have a connection with a mobile device. Fitbits, baby monitors, and even lighting in your house. So you can turn off lighting and turn on lighting with your phone. You can do it remotely. You can also adjust the temperature of your furnace. So all of these things will radiate, and you want to try and eliminate them as much as possible. So I wanted to show you too, here I have a cell phone, and it actually is connected with an adapter that has an Ethernet connection. So you just get an Ethernet connection and attach it right in, turn the phone on, put the phone into airplane mode, so there's absolutely no radiation coming from it. and you can go onto Facebook, go onto your mobile applications, but totally wired with absolutely no radiation whatsoever.
So I guess it's safe to say the more smarter gadgets we bring in our house, smart fridge, smart washer, dryer, smart this, smart that, the dumber we're going to become. And I'm telling you, it will. It will dumb you down. We are light energy frequency beings, and that's what we are. We are spirit. And we are like 1 quadrillion, okay, particles. And those particles are called atoms. And inside those atoms is swirling energy. And believe it or not, the EMF and the Wi-Fi and everything else is affecting that little tornado in every particle. Go ahead, Sheena.
And I see too, Dr. Havis has taught me about the need for those cells to be able to communicate. So I actually feel like all of this man-made technology interferes with our proper communications within our bodies. Like you're saying, we are electromagnetic. So we don't want anything to interfere with normal, healthy function. So this is a slide that's available on Dr. Magnus Havis's website. And if we could hear these radiating devices, so there is a sound function on these RF meters. There's a sound function that you can turn on. So it makes it real. It turns that invisible to visible. And this is what things would sound like within your home if you were using this meter to measure them. So this is a Bluetooth, a baby monitor, a Wi-Fi router,
Sounds like a
cordless
snake.
telephone,
Sounds like a snake.
cell phone, and a mother's baby monitor. How many homes sound like this?
You know what? You can't hear it, but you can hear it on some level. You can feel it. You know when you come into a place and they've got all this stuff going on because you don't hear it, but you can feel it. You do. You feel it. You sense it.
And those electrosensitive really feel it to the point where they're completely debilitated in the presence of these frequencies. So you're right. I think we're so disconnected from how we actually feel and assess our external environment. But you're right. You really can feel these frequencies. So how many homes sound like that?
And
how many homes?
And how many families say to their family members, "You're moody. Why are you depressed? What's wrong with you? You don't love me anymore?"
Exactly. So on my website, electrosensitivesociety.com, I show you how to connect iOS devices to Ethernet. And I show the Acousticom 2, that little RF meter shows you that you can have zero exposure, so on the, well, very, very low exposure on the green light, while connecting to the internet through those mobile devices. It's particularly for teenagers. When I tried to eliminate Wi-Fi in my environment and only had Ethernet cabling, they wanted to connect with their friends. They wanted to use those mobile applications and those devices. So this allows mobile access to mobile devices, but with no radiation whatsoever. So we really need to get that information across to people that we're saying that there's a safer way to use these. So how would you do that for your specific device? You would Google how to connect your specific iPhone to Ethernet. And it shows you which devices you have. You can surf the internet faster. You don't have to use your data. It's really an easy win and an easy option for everyone. And you can do voice over internet, so you can speak on it. You can't get an actual text, but you can get an iMessage. So anything that you would use the internet for, when you connect to Ethernet, you can utilize it. So that would reduce people's exposure enormously. And again, it's on my website, electrosensitivesociety.com. So cars kill people, right? Every year, people are dying in car accidents. But what we do is we make them as safe as possible. We have a speed limit, we have seat belts, We have ride checks, making sure people aren't drinking and driving. And we have airbags to protect people from those car accidents. You want to do the same thing with cell phones. Cell phones need to be used into airplane mode as much as possible. You want to text instead of talk. You want to use speaker mode and ideally set it down. She's holding it in her hand. I recommend that you actually set it down somewhere and use a stylus. You want to increase your distance and keeping it away from your body, putting it in airplane mode, especially that nighttime. You really want to eliminate exposure in that bedroom environment. So how do you find out what your exposure is? You want to measure it, like I was saying. But with this acronym, Dr. Havas and I came up with frequency, intensity, nearness, and duration. So looking at that acronym, if you're close, if it's a high frequency, so in that microwave radiation band, it's a high frequency. The stronger it is, the intensity is really high. How close you are to it will also be a function of that intensity. Closer you are, the higher it'll be, the further away it'll lower. And the duration. That's why we say text instead of talk. Text is like a little blip, where talking is that constant connection of really, really high exposure. So you want to think about those things when you're trying to reduce your exposure. Sometimes an obstacle to helping people that I work with who are electrosensitive, to having them accommodated, whether it's within a hospital or a doctor's office or a school or an employer trying to accommodate their employee with EHS. Sometimes a barrier to this is that people think that it's just a psychological issue, that there's no physiological, biological response. And so I have 3 things that I can present: live blood analysis, heart rate variability monitoring, and plant growth and Wi-Fi. Do you want me to present 1, 2, or all 3?
All 3.
Okay. So first of all, live blood. So we prick your finger, put it on a slide, put it underneath the microscope, and before Wi-Fi exposure, this is what Dr. Magda Havas's blood looks like. All the blood cells are independent from each other. This is what it looks like after 10 minutes of Wi-Fi exposure. All of the red blood cells are stuck together, and it's referred to rouleau.
Boy, now you get a sense of where you're going with this. And that's why, you know what? You men out there, I'll tell you, Sheena, I have so many women calling me up and saying, Dr. Wolfe, you need to talk to my husband. He doesn't want to ever turn the Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dr. Stephen Sinatra, one of America's integrative cardiologists, he says that your blood should be the consistency of red wine. When it's in rouleau formation, it's actually the consistency of ketchup. So some of the symptoms of this could be headache, fatigue, dizziness, difficulty concentrating, heart and blood pressure problems, even heart attack and stroke. So the age of stroke, when I was a kid, it was in your 70s or 80s. It's lowering all the time. You're getting 30 and 40-year-olds having a stroke. So this coagulation of the blood in the presence of wireless radiation, it really, really needs to be explored further, like hugely. It would be amazing if we had a cardiologist in every one of the cities that the Bragg study is being completed, just to see in their patients, in the presence and absence of electromagnetic fields, how their blood reacts. Like, wouldn't that be an amazing research project?
Absolutely. And if I can say something, Dr. Steve is coming on my show in 4 weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And everybody, just so you know, these aren't sunglasses. These are Tesla glasses, because the blue light gets converted into a healing light for my eyes and my brain so I don't fry out. Anyways, go ahead, Sheena.
Beautiful. So Dr. Havas, because of these responses with people and looking at the blood and seeing the rouleau formation, people were complaining of heart palpitations. So she wanted to explore it. And Global 16 by 9, a news crew came and interviewed her. And this is a little 2-minute segment that they ran.
Well, 16 by 9 wanted to test the power of Wi-Fi, so we went to visit environmental scientist Magda Havas from Trent University to do another test. Professor Havas's subject, Martin, who calls himself electrically sensitive, is hooked up to a heart monitor, and Havas sets up a wireless computer.
Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking Martin and exposing him to microwave radiation from Wi-Fi, the same type of thing that we have in schools, for example, and just monitoring his heart to see if his heart reacts to any of the radiation. He won't know when things are turned on or off, so it's going to be a blind study in that regard.
With the Wi-Fi plugged in, Martin's heart rate accelerates in mere moments.
Now I can feel something. It's going through my chest. I can feel it down in my legs too.
The closer the router is, the greater his reaction.
A few seconds ago, it was like my chest was actually jumping in the middle here.
Then, seconds after the wireless internet is unplugged, just like that, his heart rate slows down. Martin, how are you feeling right now?
Fine, I don't think there's anything on.
But listen to this. Those levels Martin was exposed to, well, they're acceptable according to Safety Code 6. So if they're safe, why was his heart racing? Magda Havas has a theory.
So some percentage of the population is reacting to these microwave radiation at levels well below Safety Code 6.
But I'm not sick from Wi-Fi and I use it all the time.
Well, not everyone has the same sensitivities. We have children who have peanut allergies. We have people who are allergic to pollen. They react to pollen. And it's same with electrical sensitivity. Only a percentage of the population react.
So that's incredibly powerful, that close to a wireless device that somebody can go into tachycardia, that their heart rate can double. For me to double my heart rate, I have to go up and down a flight of stairs, not laying down on a mattress and letting something plug in next to me. So how many people are estimated to be affected? How many people are hypersensitivity, have that hypersensitivity reaction? We really don't know. We really don't know the population. There is some evidence that the severe unable to work is 0.65%. So I've just put it together here for Canada, United States, and Ontario. That's a huge number of people that are unable to work because they are electrosensitive. You were going to say something?
No, I wasn't, but I was just thinking it, but I might as well say it, I guess. The reality is it's going to become more and more because there's more devices, more technology. We haven't even unleashed 5G yet, like we're going to. So when you start seeing your family get depressed or sick, or they can't go to work, or they got headaches, or they've got some neurological disorder, yeah. And then you've got to ask yourself, and I really truly believe this, in the world that we live in, all our lighting, everything could have been done with frequencies, and with our lighting, it could have been things that heal us, not tear us apart. So, there's more to it than that, but we'll just keep moving here.
And that awareness is key. So minimizing those exposures within your home and in your bedroom. And some percentage of the population have mild to moderate symptoms. Through the research that Dr. Havas has done, she thinks it's about 35%. And that's a third of people responding to this in a negative way. So that's a huge number of people. So I think it's really important not really to focus on which actual percent is or isn't sensitive, but that it might be an option. So that loved one who all of a sudden gets a headache, or their hands are tingling when they're using the phone, or their side of their head gets really hot. Those are early warning signs, early symptoms that your body is having an adverse reaction. And you might want to minimize your exposure. You would want to minimize your exposure. And then how many people are reacting with their blood going into low, but they would have no idea. They would perhaps have no symptoms of that. So you really want to minimize your exposure, particularly in your bedroom where you rest, recover, and repair.
Yeah, a chronic disease is something that happens over a long time. And what does the person usually say? I wasn't aware of anything.
That's right. That's right. So we expose pea plants to Wi-Fi for 30 days and look at the difference in the shoot growth. The ones on the right were the control, and the ones on the left are the Wi-Fi exposed plants. And look at the roots. the root system's essentially absent on the ones on the left, exposed to Wi-Fi. And where the arrow is where the Wi-Fi router was located. So these Wi-Fi exposed plants literally grew away from the Wi-Fi source.
Yeah, you'll
And
see
it's-
that with trees.
Yep, exactly. And it's peer-reviewed publication that you can get, and replicating it. People, again, there's no psychosomatic response from these plants. They know to avoid it. So resetting the limbic system is critical. We need to shift from that sympathetic to the parasympathetic. And sometimes people are traumatized, almost like a post-traumatic stress response to being electro-hypersensitive. Because can you imagine being sensitive to something that everybody uses and it's absolutely everywhere you go, and it's almost impossible to get away from it, and people don't believe you, people ridicule you? I think being electro-hypersensitive is incredibly difficult because as a society, we are not responding sympathetically and appropriately to helping those people receive that accommodation from this environmentally induced disability.
I think it actually comes down to this too, Sheena. What? You're allergic to my favorite toy? Seriously?
Yeah, exactly. And you have people choosing the device over the individual. Like it's tragic. So trauma, part of resetting the limbic system is trying to minimize or eliminate any kind of psychological trauma before you kind of reset that neural programming. And trauma results from directly experiencing an event, witnessing the event occurring to others, or learning that such an event happened to a close family member or friends. And we are all living in that kind of constant state of trauma, whether we're electrosensitive or not. This light therapy is going to help anyone and everyone that has any kind of trauma in their lives.
Yeah, so those of you who just joined us, May 5th, we're going to be doing light diode therapy, just using little diodes, right?
It's just an LED light
That's
from a
it.
flash.
And at the end of the show, we're going to show everybody where to get these if you want to order them and get them in time. There's only 3 different lights, but we'll go through that at the end of the show. For those of you who want to come and play and do something that's totally amazing to help relieve trauma with yourself and your family.
And so the hippocampus consolidates a long-term memory. So that's what happens. These traumas get stuck in that long-term memory, and the amygdala processes emotional memory. So again, you want to bring up that emotional response and the visual response. And that's what the light therapy addressing that will release and absolutely delete. So that, it regulates everything. It governs your behaviors, your homeostasis, your body temperature, your blood pressure, blood sugar. So this really governs your well-being. It puts you from sympathetic into parasympathetic. So eliminating that trauma is key on any kind of treatment, boosting your immune system or anything else.
Can I ask a question? What is the light therapy called again? Is there a name?
Auricular chromotherapy. So
Okay.
it's like colored light on the ear.
That's it. Okay.
Auricular chromotherapy.
Okay.
And it splits. So trauma and stress literally splits the 2 hemispheres of the brain. So what we need to do, and what this light therapy does, is it reintegrates communication between those 2 hemispheres. So that's essentially what it does. And Dr. Daniel Assis from Argentina, he is the person that developed this method and taught it to us in Croatia a few years ago. So again, I'll just briefly outline what it is. And like you said, on May 5th, we'll be doing an in-depth training session on how people can use this light therapy to address psychological trauma. So Dr. Daniel Assis, and it's published in the Medical Acupuncture, Auricular Chromotherapy in the Treatment of Psychological Trauma, Phobias, and Panic Disorders. So again, that amygdala and the hypothalamus, those are located on this portion of the earlobe. And so how to find the ear limbic zone. So if you ask a patient to remember a traumatic event, the absolute worst moment, it activates the limbic region of the brain, and you'll find a tender area on that earlobe. So that's the key. You have them recall the traumatic event, and it stimulates that region of the ear and in your brain, and then it actually is more sensitive on your earlobe when palpated. So you find the most tender spot on your ear, and you shine the light on it. And that's literally the treatment. It's nothing short of miraculous. And you can see Dr. Assis's website, assisdolor.com.ar, for more information as well. So the light details: yellow is for trauma treatment. Blue is for treatment of the physical sensations, because sometimes there's physical sensations with the trauma itself. And green is for balance. Green will actually shine on that earlobe as well, will actually put your body into balance. And to purchase the light, I like these lights from photonlight.com, and it's a micro light LED keychain flashlight. And that's it. At the Electrosensitive Society, I have a support group weekly for anybody who needs support and help. It's a lonely place often for people who are electrosensitive. These people, it's critical right now for us to educate our communities and educate our decision makers on how to create low EMF areas for these people in which they can live and thrive. Because right now, with, like you were saying, the implementation of 5G, with numerous cell towers, with individuals using their devices, there's fewer and fewer places for these people to live and to thrive. So as a community, we need to find these really low exposure areas. So what I would love to have happen is have these underserviced zones, underserviced from a cell tower perspective, and keep them that way. Keep these little pockets of no exposure, both for our environment, our insects, our animals, our plants, but also particularly for these humans who really need a low EMF exposure place to live and thrive. So it's really key. So right now I'm presenting to as many city councils as I can about the need to develop these low EMF cell tower free areas and use fiber optics, because we still want connection. We still want access to internet, but we want to use pure fiber optics with no wireless devices associated with them. And we can do this. We can accommodate these people. It's a disability, just like you would accommodate somebody with a wheelchair. You would have a no smoking area. You know, we need to start doing that to accommodate those who are sensitive, and those of us who want a choice of living in a low EMF place.
Are you actually making headway with any of these groups?
A little bit. There's actually an article in the Toronto Star yesterday about one of my presentations about the need for these low EMF areas. Some communities, particularly rural, they are installing fiber optics because it's a much superior access to internet rather than Wi-Fi. You just have to have pure fiber optics. Sometimes they're putting some copper in with the fiber optics and creating electromagnetic interference, and that's not what we want. We want pure fiber optics that are going to be accessible for those who are electrosensitive.
Very good. So where can people get in touch with you again?
At the electrosensitivesociety.com.
Yep.
Or Sheena at electrosensitivesociety.com.
Beautiful. And can you tell everybody one more time about May 5th and what we're going to do and what they need to purchase if they'd like to play?
Yes. And again, Dr. Assis said that you can't do this on yourself. You can't have the treatment on yourself, but you can have the lights and have a practitioner help you in the trauma treatment. We all have naturopathic doctors. We all have chiropractors. We all have physicians. We all have people who can learn how to do this light therapy on you and easily treat and eliminate psychological trauma, all of us can have that psychological trauma from all sorts of things, whether it's a childhood experience or an event that we witnessed that causes us trauma. There's so many options. And so it's interesting, a number of the naturopathic doctors that I've helped, they have experienced such miraculous results with their patients that they actually utilize it on everyone that comes into their office now. They're that amazed at how helpful it is to actually get those people into relax mode and sympathetic response.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to leave everybody with?
Yeah, I think that we want to embrace this sensitivity because I feel like they're the canaries in the coal mine, people who are really, really sensitive. It's a bit of a wake-up call that we all need to eliminate our exposure. We all need to find a low exposure in our homes, in our communities, and then really help these people. So there are some people that they find they're electrosensitive and they can't live in their home anymore. They actually have to leave their home and they become homeless. It's actually critical that we start to find low EMF places and create these low EMF places. Most recently, I'm actually looking at shipping containers. So they're metal and they'll block a lot of the RF. So having some people donate these shipping containers that I can put in little nodes across the country to actually give a safe place for some of these people to sleep and turn them into tiny homes. Like, we need some mobile devices because, again, when a new cell tower goes up, then they have to move somewhere else. So until we can get these areas that are designated to be low EMF, we need to use that mobile solution. So I'm working with anyone and everyone who wants to help make that mobile solution a reality. So please contact me if you have any resources to make that happen. We literally need it in different nodes all throughout the country, particularly out in Alberta, in BC. There's a huge number of people that are struggling right now, and in Ontario. Those three provinces seem to be the worst.
Thank you, Sheena. Thank you for joining us. And Sheena's going to be back on May the 5th, correct? At 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we're going to light up your world and unleash and eliminate some of that emotional trauma that has been blocking you and you don't even know it. And remember something, the invisible becomes the physical, right? The psychological rules the biological. Thank you, Sheena, for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're a blessing. So everybody, I just want to say thank you for joining me, and just know that we do have our EMF light energy sale still on, and that's what these are, these Teslas. These aren't blue blockers, everybody, so you got to get that. Blue blockers help to block things, but what these do, these are fluorine lenses. They actually take the blue light, transfer it into healing light, so I actually can heal my eyes, damaged eyes, and heal my brain with this negative light that was created. So we can take things and make a positive, just like with Sheena. She can make things and make a positive for you. And remember something, you have to take massive personal action. It's your life, and you got to decide, what is it worth? It's worth some time. It's worth some effort. Do your homework. You know, challenge us with the information we've given you, but understand, you need to gift yourself, okay, health. Everybody needs to do it for themselves. Now, just like I said, if you want to come and visit me at Telegram, my Telegram channel has everything on it, everything I'm not allowed to put other places. And I'm at t.me/the Doc of Detox, okay? And you have to download Telegram to your phone if you want it on your phone, or you can have it on your computer. And all the shows I can't keep up here will be on Telegram or on BitChute. So just so everybody knows, okay? Let me see what else do I have here. Again, upcoming shows. Down on the Farmer with Del Bigtree, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, April the 27th. Wednesday, April the 28th, we're going to answer all the questions that came in on the Tuesday show and live ones coming in on Wednesday. The show will be off and going to Telegram and BitChute the minute we stop airing. Okay, so you'll have to go there for it. Just know, everybody, I will be doing what's called Braveheart Day, May 1st. Okay, and it's a 9-hour take action marathon with me. Go to Eventbrite. Can you put this up for them? Eventbrite.com. Okay, and then go to Conference Cube And you can get that day for $197, and I'm going to be giving everybody a health package that's worth $262. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. Also, we have 2 spots left in Kelowna for our June 5th to 25th New World Practitioner Certification Whole Life Coach, and the New World Bodywork of non-surgical, which is the most powerful bodywork in the world. It truly is. And our Whole Life Coach, emotional training and nutritional training, we're going to teach you about true energy medicine, not about supplementation. We're going to teach you about how to teach yourself and your patients, clients, how to master their own mind. And guess who can come? Anyone and everyone can be a practitioner. And understand, when you come and take my course, you will be certified under the World Organization of Natural Medicine. Please don't put yourself down. Everybody has a practitioner inside of you. The more practitioners that we have out there working, okay, in the light and becoming the light for people, we'll see the difference. All right, for my weekly newsletter, go to Doc of Detox or itioh.com and join up and join our tribe, because if I don't have your email, if I ever get taken down off of platforms, I'm not going to be able to let you know where I'm going. And don't forget, I have a 10 a.m. every Tuesday, 1 hour to 2 hour Q&A. It's live. You can send in your questions, everyone. And make sure that you click on the bell and never miss a show. And click on follow me. And then every time I do something on Facebook, it's going to pop up if you want to learn, because that's where I do a lot of training on Facebook. It's easy. It's out there. Look, I don't go on Facebook either unless I want to learn something. I don't go on there for what everybody else, not everybody else does, but it's for the learning, not for the burning. Okay, all Q&As are time-stamped and they're put up on YouTube, except for things like Del Bigtree, things like yesterday's show with Magda Havas. You're going to find that on BitChute under Doc of Detox, or Telegram under The Doc of Detox, okay? Also, if you want to listen to any of my audios, you can download them from iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Everybody, today's Thursday. We're almost at the weekend. It's going to be another beautiful weekend. Do me a favor, will you? Keep a slight smile on your face wherever you go. Leave smiles in case I want to see you. Have a beautiful day. 3, 2, 1. You got this, Braveheart. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.